Number one Ibble Dibble here. Hello, friends. Yesterday, I left you wondering what I thought the most car wreck aspect of Meghan's new Instagram presence would be. What I relish the most is the captions. The woman on the right in this picture is Katie, the white lady hairdresser. I joked about in my video about Meghan's mediocre photo shoots. White hair, very highlighted white hair. Meghan, what the hell? And the woman on the other side is Cleo Wade. Have you ever heard of Cleo Wade? If you thought Matt Haig was bad.
Hello, I am the beach. I have been around for millions of years. I was around at the dawn of life itself. And I have to tell you something. I don't care about your body. I am a beach. I literally don't give a blank. I am entirely indifferent to your body mass index.
You were not emotionally prepared for Cleo Wade.
Do not wonder who you are. Find out who you are. Remembering that to decide to really and truly get to know yourself is the bravest thing you could ever do. To decide on you.
But Cleo, Matt Haig says the bravest thing a person can do is change. My self-loving, smooth brain is blown. Which is braver? How do I get brave? Whatever shall I do? Guess it's all my fault because I'm a confused coward. Who am I?
Be the moon if you want to, be the light bulb in the kitchen or a flashlight in the wild. All I ask is that you shine.
I am unclear on whether Cleo Wade is the fakest person I've ever come across, or a bona fide simpleton, or both.
But the more I think about it, the more I see that the clearest route to bliss is to be alive while you are here, to be with yourself in a love so deep the oceans get jealous, and even outer space wants to be inside.
Either way, she's gotten 2 book deals out of it as a quote-unquote poet, and I just don't understand. Who buys her books? Are they 11-year-olds forced to hang out with their mom at the Barnes & Noble coffee shop? According to her Wikipedia bio, clearly intensely maintained by her, quote, after graduating from high school, she decided to pursue fashion and moved to New York City to intern at Missoni. While in the city, she consulted for Alice and Olivia, modeled for Cartier and Armani, and worked as an office manager at Halston. Looking back on this period of her life, Wade reflects, I was making money for the first time in my life, but I realized I wasn't happy. Nobody tells you what to do when your girlhood dreams bump into your womanhood dreams. She decided to travel the world and soon fell back into painting and poetry. End quote. That cannot possibly be true. I don't know a nicer way to say it. That's bullshit. Interns are typically college students, also often the kids of employees or friends and family. Cleo was neither. Does she mean she worked on the sales floor at the Missoni boutique? Same thing with Alice and Olivia. Consulted on what? Since when are high-end Manhattan boutique chains paying uneducated 20-year-olds fresh from the South to consult on anything? That's what seasonal contracts with trend forecasting companies are for. Also, these days, Guest of a Guest and Patrick McMullen have extensive photo archives of social events in New York and LA, freely available on their websites. You can see exactly where these social climbers were 15 years ago. Cleo was a Soho House girl. And I'm not saying that as an accusation, and I'm not saying that unevidenced. Mia Moretti, the girl she's next to, her bestie in these pictures, was one of the first young it girl Soho House members in New York, and to this day does parties and promos with them. She tried LA for a couple years. It didn't work. She moved to New York, and these girls you see in the photos, her friends, I guess, are all slashes. Actress slash DJ slash influencer slash poet slash sugar baby. I'm not knocking their come up. They've all done well for themselves. I just wish someone as authentic and brave as Cleo could be honest about her background. As for modeling for Cartier and Armani, not quite. Cleo was not a model who got legit print campaigns. Cartier provided the jewelry for her to do a photo shoot with Refinery 29, which is kind of like a fashion-y blog in New York. And they did this because by the year 2015, Cleo had built 150,000-ish followers on Instagram, posting affirmations, party pics, and selfies. I hesitate to say poetry because while she's posted a lot of her poetry already at this point and touts herself as the Instagram poet, just listen to this. Wanting by Cleo Wade. I want to give you more of me. You have all of me already. I want to give you all of me. I say it because I'm ready. I don't need the Weather Channel to know. My head is in the cloud that has rain in it. My heart is in the soul that has pain in it. Okay, last one, just because it's very apropos. To be the bee, a queen amongst the flowers, and sugar's only competition. I'm not an affirmations person. If you are, let me know in the comments below. Do inane affirmations annoy you, or is reminding yourself of something basic, albeit trite, part of the beneficial process for you? Let me know in the comments below what you think of Cleo's affirmations. There is nothing more beautiful than making a woman feel beautiful. Today, be brave. You deserve it. Be who you want to be and love who you want to love. That sounds like fun. Love. Be endless. That's all. The magic of you overwhelms me. That's all. From kindness, give kindness. Be kind some more. She also does that annoying thing Meghan does, where she writes what seems like an affirmation in the third person, and you wonder if she's talking about herself. When I think about it, she was a little more than beautiful. She was a little less than real. You would be crazy not to love her. She was too beautiful to be at the head of the table. She was too beautiful to sit when she could stand. So she danced on the table. She has barely improved as a writer, and there are over 2,700 posts on her Instagram account. Her way with words didn't get her in with Cartier, but I think I know what did. By 2016, Cleo had been promoted from girl at the club to official girlfriend of famous influential guy for 3 or 4 years. She dated Cory Booker, the New Jersey senator who, while being considered one of the youngest, hottest US senators, is still 19 years older than Cleo. And that's what got her official it girl status, coverage in heritage publications like Vogue, and her first book deal. After Bernie Sanders, Cory Booker was also considered Joe Biden's stiffest competition. So being on his arm all those years before Biden clinched the nomination really launched her into an echelon of society she didn't have access to before, Soho House or not. She hit the campaign trail with him, so she met a lot of extremely wealthy people who were very influential in business and politics. She was living the high life. I think it's an exaggeration to say she was making money. In a cover story from The Cut, who you may remember from their now infamous cover story with Meghan, which again is a cover story titled Is Cleo Wade the Millennial Oprah? Absolutely absurd for a 26-year-old uneducated unknown with no accomplishments. It is claimed, quote, Wade pays for her life the way many young, beautiful social media stars do. She models for brands like UGG and Armani and hosts fashion dinners for the likes of Jimmy Choo. She just collaborated with Barney's on a limited edition run of sustainably sourced prints of her poems. But social activism is as much a part of Wade's personal brand as fashion is. She sits on Emily's List's Creative Council, supports Planned Parenthood, and during the presidential campaign season, posted shots from her canvassing work or fundraising dinners almost as often as she did poems. That was Wade sitting next to her good friend Katy Perry during Hillary Rodham Clinton's nomination acceptance speech at the Democratic Convention this summer. And that was also Wade, a few weeks later, walking the red carpet at a Refinery 29 event with New Jersey Senator Cory Booker on her arm. End quote. I don't know if Cleo picked up the PR game from Cory fast, or if he was planning on marrying her and he was doing all this stuff, but under his aegis, she learned that the political can be very profitable and incorporated that into her brand. Like Meghan, she started sprinkling her Instagram feed with pictures of books she was reading that proved she was really, really smart, and writing op-eds about social and political activism for fashion magazines, because probably they're the only type of magazine willing to accept such op-eds from entirely unqualified individuals. Also, again, it's unclear whether Corey wouldn't let her talk about him because she might say something stupid, or if Cleo chose not to talk about Corey because she wanted to steal all his thunder. Either way, it worked out very well for her. She would always post or say the slightest thing to remind everyone why she mattered, as if she was going to be the woke Jackie O of 2020. In interviews, she would always shrug or smile or say, "Don't make me say no comment," and proceed to only talk about herself and her juvenile books and art and ideas about the world. And she elbowed her way into the New York High Society charity circuit, and she got herself all those brand collabs. I think Meghan has only recently realized that this is the better route to take. So hopefully she'll still have connections worth knowing after she and Harry are done. Last thing about Cleo Wade, she's such a juicy gossip tangent. How could I not? It kills me how she says she wasn't happy, so she traveled the world, falling back into poetry and whatever she said. No. While she was with Corey and getting some fashion promotion deals, they had a few long weekends. She had a few girls' fashion weeks in Europe, and she posted poverty porn like this from Jamaica. And after Corey dumped her in 2018, and her promo deals dried up, she went to live on a luxury houseboat in Kerala with her girlfriends for 10 days, saw the pyramids, and rushed right back to the US. At some point, she did get invited on a brand trip to visit Kenya and took some pictures with Maasai tribeswomen, but she hardly became a roaming anthropologist or something. In fact, within 6 months of getting dumped by Corey, she had not only snagged a new rich guy, Simon Kinberg, the Hollywood director of Deadpool and producer of X-Men, Fantastic Four, etc., who, by the way, is 17 years older than her and at the time was extremely recently divorced, but baby trapped him. He didn't fall for it at first, but they are still together. They moved to LA so he could film. She had another baby during the pandemic, and he did finally propose, so now they're engaged. It looks like Cleo got her Prince Charming after all, and lives in LA, and continues to publish these books to torture us, not because she needs to financially, and that's how she became acquainted with Katie and Meghan. So what do you think? Do you think Meghan is single white femaling the shit out of Cleo? Cleo parlayed her high-profile relationship and Instagram fame into high fashion brand deals. Vivier, Valentino, Gucci, Tiffany, Nordstrom, Cole Haan, Estee Lauder, Veuve Clicquot, Chanel, Clé de Peau. Need I go on? Her books are bad, 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 but people are still buying them. I can't help it. I will read you an excerpt. It's very short. Quote, "We find ourselves saying to the world, what do we do? What can I do? The better question might be, how am I showing up? I ask the world for peace, but do I show up with peace when I see my family and friends? I ask the world to put a stop to hatred, but do I show up with love for not only those I know, but for those I do not know? Do I show up with love for those whose ideas conflict with my own? We say to the world, please change, we need change, but how do we show up to change our own lives?" End quote. What? This shit reminds me very much of Meghan's other friend Reshma starting up her fake charity with the mission to get federal paid leave for women by asking the same employers that have denied it for decades very nicely to donate to her charity so she can make that change happen that they're actively trying to prevent through lobbying. I mean, the Uyghurs would definitely be freed from their concentration camps if more women in LA stopped looking down on Chinese produced products. Am I right? So hateful. What about the war in Ukraine? How many ladies in Europe are showing up with love? But even better than brand and book deals, Cleo garners all the ego fuel a true narcissist could ever dream of on the public speaking circuit. H&M totally failed in this arena. Cleo hits it hard and makes money at it. One reason I find Cleo's climb so fascinating is because I do fear what it says about American society. It seems like her main method of growing has been doing lots of appearances, lots of talks, lots of poetry readings, aggressively networking within quote-unquote women's spaces, and delivering buzzword-packed, nonsensical statements about the usual topics: feminism, self-love, community, diversity, human rights, empowerment, finding your passion, manifesting your goals. Cleo is not a better speaker than she is a writer. She might be worse.
What are the things, given that you give so much love and light to other people, what are the things that you do for self-care and self-love?
I mean, I think one of the biggest things that I preach as a person is that every single person needs to have a self-care routine. And so I think that every single person needs to understand what it takes for them to be able to show up in their lives and show up for all the people that are important to them at their best and at the highest energy frequency they possibly can have. And so for me, it's a culmination of things. You know, I meditate, I practice Kundalini, you know, but also part of that is like eating fried chicken at Jazz Fest. Like, you know, it's everything. Like, it's really, you know, feeding your soul, you know, it's like sitting and, so anyway, so, you know, you have to know all of the things that it takes for you to show up, you know, because, part of it, I think a lot of the, you know, strife that we feel as people is just that, like, we show up to a lot of places and people in our lives drained, and like that's just not helpful. So I think that the biggest, best contribution you can make that's actually can be a breeze if you let it is to take care of yourself so that you have the love and patience and understanding that the people that love you and that you love require. You know, I think that, or I know that all of the works that I create in my life, I create from a place of service. So like there's nothing, you know, I'm not the artist that's motivated by like, I just have to get this out. And it's not, I mean, it is a therapeutic experience for me to write and make what I make. But every time I sit down to write, I think about, you know, what do I want to give to other people with this messaging? You know, what example do I want to set for young Black women? For, you know, what is this thing that I can say that's I'm scared to say or I feel vulnerable about saying? And then I try to put it out into the world, because I think that the more people that you provide inspiration for courageous acts, the more courageous acts there are, and the more that we're stepping out of our comfort zones to do our life's work, you know, which for me is, you know, giving as much as of myself as I can.
Yeah.
It's frankly wild to me that there's enough of an audience for this kind of trite messaging. A speaker circuit with venues selling tickets that speakers make a living off of even exists. Have you ever attended something like this? Why? Where was it? What happened? Share your story in the comments, please. The second reason I'm fascinated/disgusted by the economic and social success of Cleo and her wave of copycats, Meghan included, is that they have really finessed hypocrisy in what seems to me a super obvious, even embarrassingly obvious way, but still get literal and figurative buy-in from people who just don't see it. I'm not talking about men. There will always be men like Harry who really believe they're dating a bodhisattva. I'm talking about the women who see Cleo and her ilk as role models, when they're just fembots with the woke software update. These girls literally climbed some greasy poles to get where they are. And in some cockamamie attempt to cover that up, they've positioned themselves as moral, spiritual, political thought leaders? What the hell? They've muddled their toothless, toxic, positivity manifestation bullshit so thoroughly with political concepts like progressivism and feminism that they've made them into bad words, all the while themselves rigidly conforming to traditional gender roles and materialist goals. They've somehow turned eat, pray, love into the new Kinderkuka Kirka. It's all very do as I say, not as I do. I guess self-love and individuality are important, but not so important they should stop you from spending 95% of your life cosplaying as a different person who happens to be a saleable product. All this to say, if and when Meghan launches this Instagram, I think we'll be seeing a lot of platitudes and watercolors and word salad a la Cleo Wade. And unlike Cleo, I don't think she has a thick enough skin for it. I don't think she'll be able to keep the comments on. Furthermore, I don't think Meghan will be able to insinuate herself into the influencer community, even as a fake socialite type friend, because she won't be able to control her jealousy of these holier than thou women who work the public speaking circuit, sell books, sell children's books, get high fashion deals, get paid for appearances and hosting and collabs. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is Meghan going to try to get an acting job off of Cleo Wade's husband, or is she going to skin her and wear her like last year's Versace? Toodles! Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.